Welcome to the Flamingo FLP 1.0 installation video. Very soon, Flamingo will allow you to enjoy your shower while saving power. In this video we will cover the installation of the thermal well and sensors on the hot water tank for both solar thermal and electric hot water tanks, the connection and running of the data cable from the hot water tank to the home, affixing Flamingo in the home and powering on, how to use the flow rate bag to measure the flow rate of the shower, and setup of the Flamingo device via the menu function. The following items should be found in the Flamingo pack: the Flamingo FLP 1.0 device. The device can be powered by 4 AA batteries, or alternatively via USB-C input. There is a connector block on the back of the device for connecting the data cable. 2 eyelets allow for mounting the device onto the wall. 4 AA alkaline batteries, a power adapter with USB-C cable, a set of wall plugs and screws for mounting on the wall, an installation guide, thermal sensors with connector block, a 3/4 inch steel tee with 20 pegs compression fitting and 3/4 inch bushing. These plumbing fittings will need to be made up with flax fibers and Teflon tape in order to install on the hot water tank. A stainless steel thermal well. This standard 30 cm thermal well included in the pack is for solar thermal hot water tanks. For electric only tanks, a longer thermal well is used, as will be seen later in the video. When the thermal well is installed at the top of the hot water tank, this allows for a top thermal reading of the tank. 20 meters of data cable. This is to run from the hot water tank to the Flamingo device in the home. A connector box. This is installed by the boiler to protect the connection between the thermal sensors and the data cable from the outside elements. A flow rate bag. This will be used to determine the flow rate of your shower. We do so by spraying the shower head into the bag for 10 seconds and then reading the number off the bag. For preparing the plumbing fittings to install the thermal well onto the tank, one will need a large and medium-sized pipe wrench. All the threaded fittings will need to be made up with flax fibers and Teflon tape. Using the pipe wrenches, tighten the fittings onto the steel tee. The bushing and thermal well go into the straight side of the tee. The 20 pegs compression fitting will connect to the perpendicular side of the tee. Before working on the hot water tank, turn off the electric supply to the hot water tank by the main fuse box. We will now install the fittings we prepared onto a solar thermal hot water tank. Solar tanks have a solar panel that allows for the water to be heated by the sun and then fed back into the top of the tank. It is on this top feeding connection that we will install the tee and thermal well. We will start by turning off the water supply to the tank. Depressurize the tank by releasing some of the water out of the pressure release valve. Using a large wrench, remove the fitting from the tank top connection, where the solar panel feeds back into the tank. Clean off the threading and then remake the connection by applying flax and Teflon tape. Feed in the thermal well and carefully screw on the tee. Tighten and position the tee with the large wrench and reattach the solar panel return pipe to the new compression fitting. Turn on the water supply and check the fittings for leaks. For the next part of the installation, we will need the data cable, thermal sensors, connection box, zip ties, and connector block. Tools needed will include a utility knife, wire snips, wire stripper, and small flathead screwdriver. Start by making 2 small holes in the back of the connection box so that a zip tie or wire can be used to affix the box next to the hot water tank. Cut a hole in the rubber nipple that will be facing downwards. This is where the wires will enter the box. To install the thermal sensors, first find the sensor head. Feed one of the sensors head first into the newly installed thermal well until it reaches the end of the thermal well. Tighten the grommet to secure the sensor in place. On the other end of the sensor, strip the 2 wire ends and insert into the connection box. For the bottom thermal sensor, we will remove the thermostat, which is situated at the bottom of the tank. Remove the wiring from the thermostat and pull the thermostat free. Insert the second thermal sensor in together with the thermostat. And reconnect the wiring. On the other end of the sensor, strip the 2 wire ends and insert into the connection box. To prepare the data cable for connecting to the thermal sensors, strip back the outer sleeve and strip the ends of each of the 4 wires. Note the color of the wires and set them in pairs. In this case, white and green is one pair, black and red the other pair. Insert the end of the data cable into the connection box and twist the ends of each thermal sensor with a colored wire pair from the data cable. Using the connector block, secure each twisted wire pair by tightening the screw on each of the ends. Close the box lid and start to run the data cable towards the home, using zip ties to secure the cable along the way. Installation on an electric-only hot water tank requires the T connection to be installed on the hot water exit pipe at the bottom of the tank. As there is no top feeding connection, as there was with the solar thermal tank, an extra long thermal well will be used to reach the top of the boiler via the hot water exit pipe. To connect the extra long thermal well to the T fitting, an 8mm compression fitting will be used. All the threaded fittings will need to be made up with flax and Teflon tape. The bushing and thermal well go into the straight side of the T. The 20 PEX compression fitting will connect to the perpendicular side of the T. Using the pipe wrenches, tighten the fittings onto the steel T. Before working on the hot water tank, turn off the electric supply to the hot water tank by the main fuse box. Start by turning off the water supply to the tank. Depressurize the tank by releasing some of the water out of the pressure release valve. Remove the plastic casing at the bottom of the tank and disconnect the electric wires from the thermostat. Using a large wrench, remove the fitting from the hot water exit connection. Have a bucket handy to catch any residual water. Clean off the threading and then remake the connection by applying flax and Teflon tape. Carefully screw on the T. Tighten and position the T with the large wrench. The thermal well is now fed in through the 8mm compression fitting and pushed in towards the top of the tank. The compression fitting is now tightened around the thermal well using the Teflon ring and nut. Reattach the hot water PEX pipe to the new PEX compression fitting on the T. Find the longer of the 2 thermal sensors. It is this longer sensor that will be fed into the thermal well to the top of the tank. Secure the sensor in place with a rubber insert or piece of tape. Remove the wiring from the thermostat and pull the thermostat free. Insert the second thermal sensor together with the thermostat and reconnect the wiring. In this installation, the connection box will be mounted on the wall near the tank, and the wire ends of the thermal sensors and the data cable are fed into the box. All wire ends will need to be stripped. Note the color of the 4 wires and set them into pairs. In this case, white and white is one pair, blue and orange is the other pair. Twist the ends of each thermal sensor with a colored wire pair from the data cable. Using the connector block, secure each twisted wire pair by tightening the screw onto each end. Close the lid and start to run the data cable towards the Flamingo device. Each installation differs as to how far and what path the data cable needs to travel in order to reach the desired location for the Flamingo device in the home. The Flamingo pack comes with 20 meters of data cable. For installations where a longer cable is needed, this can be purchased separately according to the requirements from Flamingo Tech Limited. Once the data cable has been wired to the desired location, the template can be used to mark two holes 78 mm apart for the drilling of the two 6 mm holes. Insert wall plugs and screws. Strip back the outer sleeve of the end of the data cable and strip the ends of each of the 4 wires. Insert the 4 stripped ends of the data cable into the green connector block, with one color pair into the first 2 holes and the second color pair into the second 2 holes. Tighten the screws until fastened. Push the connector block into the back of the device and power on. Mount the device onto the screws. Before calibrating the Flamingo FLP 1.0, we will need to test the flow rate of the shower. This is done by spraying the shower head into the flow rate measuring bag for 10 seconds. Make sure the mixer valve is set in the middle position for the test. In this case, the flow rate reads 13 liters per minute. Now that Flamingo has been installed, it can now be set up with inputting the variables in the menu function. When Flamingo is powered on, it will momentarily show all LCD segments before showing the main screen. On the main screen, we can see the minutes of shower time available. On the right, there is a small tank icon showing the current temperature at the top and bottom of the tank. You will find 2 push buttons on the side of the device. The bottom push button, when single pressed, turns the tank icon on and off. The top push button, when single pressed, increments the user's showering temperature from hot, very hot, and extremely hot. The 3 lights on the side show the current selection. The amount of shower time available will change according to the selected showering temperature. To enter the menu function, long press the bottom push button. The first variable option is the orientation of the tank. Short pressing the top push button will toggle between a vertical standing tank or a horizontal lying tank. Press the bottom push button to move on to the next variable option, which is flow rate. Using the top push button, toggle to the flow rate value of the shower, as recorded when using the flow rate test bag. Pressing the bottom push button again will bring us to capacity selection. Toggle the value to reach the capacity of your hot water tank. Once capacity has been selected, we move to the month selection. And lastly, the day selection. Pressing the bottom push button again will take us out of the menu screen and back into the main screen. Now that the variables have been adjusted and saved, Flamingo will give us accurate results.